A warm namaste, good evening, good morning,
Good
good afternoon
evening.
to all our viewers across the
Okay.
globe. Welcome to yet another episode of the show which started more than 3 years back and it's going strong. Along the way, we have Vardhan joined us, and Vardhan has been doing a tremendous job, marvelous job as a moderator. And
Thank you.
we have had several artists with us over the show, more than 50, in fact. And we have enjoyed the journey uh, immensely. So, without further ado, let me quickly introduce to you the moderator of the evening. That is Vardhan Dharkar for you.
Namaste.
Namaste, Vardhan. Welcome. I hope your muscles are not too sore uh,
Absolutely not.
because Vardhan is a lot of things, and he's also started participating in marathons. And today, while on my evening walk, he said that the latest 10-kilometer marathon he completed in 83 or 84 minutes. And I was wondering, I take almost about 13 and a half to 14 minutes for a kilometer. So if I were to participate, it would take me 140 minutes. And probably I do not have the patience to walk that much. So, and probably the fitness also. So that is Vardhan for you. And Vardhan is a lot of things, a lot of, not things, I mean, a lot of personalities rolled into one. He is learning Sanskrit. He is reading epics. He's a photographer. He's an avid traveler. He is going to be traveling to the Mahakumbh this year. And I do hope, Vardhan, that I meet you during the next Mahakumbh in Prayagraj.
Certainly, we will meet next Mahakumbh in Prayagraj.
In Prayagraj, 144 years down the line. So,
Yes,
so that's wonderful, and that's Vardhan for you.
that's our pact
That's our pact. Yeah, certainly. Wherever we are,
in
uh, like
whichever form.
Karan, like Karan Arjun. So now let me put the spotlight on our guest of the evening. That's Dr. Balesh Jindal for you. And let me quickly give a quick introduction to Balesh. Her introduction starts with a quote from Ernest Hemingway: "The word breaks everyone, and afterward, many are strong at the broken places." That's by Ernest Hemingway. Dr. Balesh Jindal is a graduate of the prestigious Lady Hardinge Medical College in Delhi and has a professional medical practice for the last 40 years. Leaving a high profile career abroad, she was cast in the role of a village doctor. Having a long career as a doctor, Balesh has many stories to tell, which spill out in her novels, poetry, photography, and visual art. A little about just a very quick introduction to her book. There are several books, but I'll talk about the latest one, The Reluctant Doctor. And I think the tagline there is from stilettos to rural, I think, something, some such thing.
No, stilettos to stethoscope.
Yeah, that's right. I read it almost about a year back, and
I
it
know.
was a wonderful book, wonderful experience for me. Uh, very quickly, she was one sentence about the book. The Reluctant Doctor is a poignant tale of a young doctor who had plans to go abroad to practice, but found herself hurled from an urban lifestyle to managing a rural clinic, and soon the rural patients and their lives and stories became a sustaining force for her as she found them, she also found her path within them. So that's Balesh Jindal for you. And now it's time for or the cue for me to move out of the frame. And I'll request Vardhan and Balesh to take the conversation forward. Over to
Thank
you.
you,
Thank you.
Sanjay. Thank you. Thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanjay, for your warm introduction. And namaste to all our viewers in Bharat and outside of Bharat. Welcome to yet another episode of The Show. And welcome to Dr. Balesh Jindal, a really a versatile genius, if I have to use that adjective. She is, as Sanjay said, a doctor, but more than that, she is a painter, she is a photographer, she is a poet, and she is a author. So all rolled into one. So it's really a privilege for us to have you on our show, Doctor. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Vardhan. I think you're being too generous in your introductions. I'm feeling very humbled, but I'm very happy to be here. And let's see how it goes.
Perfect. So let's begin our conversation. I see a very beautiful painting behind you. So maybe we can start off by your journey into painting, how it evolved, how it has grown, and the exhibitions that you have participated in India and outside of India, particularly outside of India. What was the experience? How was that taken? Everything related to that.
So, Vardhan, I have been painting for more than 30 years now. And this painting happened, as I have mentioned in my book too. There was a lot of resentment inside me because I was practicing in a rural area. And my dreams were to go abroad and practice in a large institutional hospital. But here I was in a small clinic, small village, single doctor. So there was a lot of, and I'm a creative person. Like I would describe myself as a creative person. Like I like beauty in a lot of things, you know. So then I just started small ones on paper. I continued, I developed a new style, like just sitting on my own, resenting my life. That's the only thing I could do. So I made some paintings on paper and I developed a new style, painting with the knife. I started painting faces with the knife, which nobody was doing. Like a lot of people use palette knife, but they use large, bold strokes, you must have seen. I started doing very fine strokes on paper, making faces. Because as I would say, I can't do abstracts. My head is full of faces, faces of my patients. Because I was diagnosing the treatment, looking at them. So my head is just full of them. I didn't need any muse. I didn't need anything. They just came out. And then I took my paintings to a gallery in Hauskas village. And this lady just liked it, the curator. And she says, Balesh, get ready for a show. This was, I think, back in 89, 90 maybe. And I was very surprised, you know, I never thought of myself as an artist. So I took about 20, 25 papers which I had, and actually 4 or 5 sold, you know. And then she says, you have an interview lined up, you have this. That's how it took off my journey. And I continued painting. And I was lucky that my painting sold whatever I was doing. Then gradually I started having shows, you know, first in India. Then I had a few abroad. But in the last 10 years, I've been going to Art Basel, Florida. I've had 2, 3 shows there. I've shown in New York Art Expo. I've shown in South Africa, or this was funded by the Indian Embassy. They sent me there. And then in London, Nehru Center, that also was sponsored by the Indian Embassy. So that kind of was a very good experience.
And how was the experience over there? How was it received by the
But
foreign?
there, like, you know, especially Art Basel, Miami, like, it is all experimental art. And when you go there, you see so much of original art. It expands your horizon like anything. I think I was a changed person when I came back from there. Changed person as an artist. I felt I was doing nothing, you know. I had to expand my horizon in painting, and which I did, you know. So when I came back, I think I grew as a person and as an artist.
Okay, that's really nice. And that's really something which is very important, is to grow, to learn and grow. I think that is something which... See, one of the things which when I look at art, and I am somebody who really does not understand it in that sense, is that how is art valued? How do you arrive at a value that this painting is $1 million or this painting is $100,000? How do you come to that? What are the parameters that you look at it?
I think the parameters are how long you've been painting, the technique, then you have feedback from art critics. If the art critics like your work, they tell you that yes, you have reached, like earlier, I have this professor of art, Professor Nariz Sen. He's an artist. He's a retired professor from Delhi College of Art, you know. And when other people see your art, they say, gosh, this is so honest. because I have not learnt art anywhere. So whatever it is genuine. I mean, one thing you can be sure of, it's not inspired by anything, it's all original. So that's what I've heard many people have said. There's so much honesty in your art. Technique, I can say I'm not perfect at my technique, obviously, because I haven't learnt. My technique is not the best, but the emotions I paint. And when I have my shows, I tell my viewers, I said, you look at it, come back again. The painting will call you if you like it. Come again tomorrow and take it, because you got to live with it. So I don't push them. And then gradually over the years, you learn that yes, your painting is respected when people buy. And then you see other artists also, and you get to know, I think everybody gets to know how much, especially when the gallerists put a price on your paintings. Yeah, I think that's one of the major things. When you take it to a gallery, they'll put a price to your painting and they say you stick to it now. Don't sell below it.
Yeah.
So I think that was what fixed my prices every time.
Okay. I think that will help me increase my knowledge. So, as Sanjay has mentioned that you are a painter, you are a photographer, you are a poet, and you are a writer also. Is that I wanted to know is that when you are dabbling or when you are working in all of these art forms, what are the challenges that you face and how do you move on? What is your mindset when you move from one art form to another art form?
Okay, that's a very tough question. But the thing is, there isn't any challenge when I moved from, say, photography, because I did my coffee table book that has 100 photographs, which I've been collecting slowly over 10 years. From every place I went to, traveled all over the world, I just started taking pictures of benches. I didn't even know why I was taking them, I just started taking. And then COVID happened and I realized I had exactly 100 pictures.
Okay.
And then I would just jot down a poem here, there. I had scraps of paper lying. And then I made it into 100 poems, which one bench was with each poem. And that's how the coffee table book was born. I called it 100 Dreams. And that is actually very close to my heart. That's my heart, basically. The reluctant doctor is my mind and the soul, probably, but the 100 Dreams is my heart. It comes from the heart, everything.
Okay. So, painting or photography, poetry and writing, are there any similarities or common traits and what are the differences if I have to look at it from that perspective?
I think there isn't much difference in any one of them. For me, like painting, poetry, photography, and writing, it's all stems from the same source. The desire to be creative, the desire to express myself. And what is my experience? Only meeting people. I have interacted with, I don't know, many, many thousands of people over 40 years. And their stories, and I know I have a habit of internalizing everybody's problems. Like if somebody tells me something, I won't sleep at night. It's like that, So it becomes my own personal problem then. I have to take it out somewhere. So all my poetry is about relationships and people and very little about nature. My books are all about relationships. My poetry is about relationships. My art, if you see, there are just faces. Each one is thinking something. The faces have been like, even in my clinic, like I've written one paragraph in my book. I don't even know whether it's ethical or unethical. I did look at a bit extra at my patients. I looked at the curve of the neck. If the light from the clinic is falling on her face, I'm seeing the light falling on her, the curl of the hair, the turn of the nose. I've been observing. I mean, I accept whether it's ethical or not ethical, but I looked at them as an artist and as a doctor.
Okay.
I would say that.
So your mind as an artist is always at work.
Always, yeah. You can put it to stop, even if you want to.
Mm.
Even though
Yeah.
they were village women, I will see the colors they were wearing.
Mm.
You know, their lehenga, their dupatta, the edging, the gota.
Mm.
I would observe that.
Okay. 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 So now let's come to your journey as a poet, and you have published a book of your poems as well. So maybe if you can talk about that book and the poems, and what do they, what are those poems all about? Are they on one particular theme, or there are various moods which are expressed in each of those poems?
Okay, my first poetry book came out in 1995. That was called Dear Father. That was when my father had just had an accident. That was
Uh-huh.
about loss and suffering, that book. And I think the first book of every poet is cathartic. That happened. Then this 100 Dreams came. This has wide, varied emotions because then I was more mature, I was not young. And I felt these poems are like, the mind is always running. I don't know my runs, whether other people's runs or not. My mind is constantly working. So there are thoughts which at times you can't voice, you can't tell anybody, and you push them away. Oh, it's those small thoughts. They're not about any profound philosophy or anything. No, they're about those thoughts which cross our mind and we push them away. But I have penned those thoughts. They're about, I think every single person will identify with them, like when you're, say, like you're waiting for somebody for tea. Even that thing is so important. The pouring of tea, the waiting for tea. I feel that's a very poignant moment. Not the tea itself, but just the waiting and you're sitting with somebody, I think that part. Or you've had a small tiff with somebody, and then that feeling you get after that, how the makeup is there, how the tiff is affecting you, Then there are certain poems about children, like there are times in everybody's life when you feel everything is useless. Kal kuch nahi hoga. We've lost it all. I think we've all gone through it. A sense of failure, it engulfs us, and we think life is over. So those things I have caught on and written for my children. Because sometime in life, if you have that feeling, come home. There's a warm fire waiting for you. There's a warm drink waiting. Don't stay outside the house. Come home. Those are the kind of things I've written about.
So there is a poem or there is a poetry in everything that happens in our life.
Yeah.
And that a sensitive person like you understands and pens it down.
I pick up from other people also, when they talk to me. I pick up from them too. It's not all about my life, obviously.
Yes,
it's about so many people,
So maybe if you can read one poem which is very close to you.
Okay, I haven't got my poetry book.
Oh, okay.
I forgot. But I'll read you. I have a poem in here. I'll read it.
Okay.
I'll just. Okay. This poem is from my earlier book, Dear Father. Okay. So this, I'll give you a background of it. The last day it was January. So when you go to Delhi airport in 1983-84, he died in 1986 Jan. So that time, if you remember, there used to be fields on both sides of the road. Now there's just concrete. There used to be mustard fields on both sides. If anybody remembers, I don't know. So my clinic, I had to pass that every day. And this was the last day my father picked me up and he was bringing me back from the clinic. This was the last drive. And after that afternoon, he died. He went somewhere and he died on the road, So this is called mustard bloom. Mustard fields in celebration, like a sea of bobbing heads at a winter carnival. As we drove, we were together. The old times, years ago, you remembered, fondly. The first car we had. I looked out at the blinding yellow shroud, nailed to the vacant horizon. like an extension of the sky itself.
Mhm.
As I am alone today, you no more. I stand sobbing, jaded, jaundiced tears. The yellow sleet flows like embalmed sunlight. I remember the mustard fields, along with the pain of shared blooms, dear father.
Very, very touching. And thank you so much for reading it for our viewers.
Thank you.
So now let's move to your writing journey. And before that, I wanted to ask you one question. If you have to describe one particular event which changed your life or transformed your life, what would that be?
You mean transform my life as a doctor?
As a doctor or as an individual?
See, the beginning would be obviously the day my father took me to Kapasera and I was all ready to fly to London. I think, and I went there and my boat is already there. He had bought a farm and there was a guard room outside like all farms have. So on that guard room, he'd put my boat and
Okay.
Dr. Jinda's clinic, and I went there and I could not, like, his face was so excited. He was so happy. I could not say no to him. I think that changed, that step I took inside the clinic. That changed my life. I was a different person after that.
Okay. Okay. So all your dreams of being in London and practicing over there were completely in one particular moment, or that moment?
Just one moment, yeah.
Just that's something which is really significant or in a way earth shattering. Is that you have
Exactly.
certain dreams and
yeah, anybody would be quite depressed, but I thought, and then 2 years later he died. Then there was no way I could leave it,
yeah.
I had to continue his dream. I know it was his dream. But then now I'm glad I continued, because I feel had I gone abroad, I would have just been a cog in the wheel, just another, conveyor belt person, like we see in large hospitals. But here I changed the whole society. I think I made a difference.
Yes.
I think, like, earlier I didn't know also, but now I think I've made a difference. So that's all one wants in life,
Yeah, absolutely true. And you are indeed fortunate to have actually been daughter of your father.
I guess, yeah. I am sure, yeah.
So let's talk about The Reluctant Doctor. What that book is all about and how it came about, how you thought about it and how it moved forward. What was the reaction, response of your near and dear ones, your doctor colleagues and general public?
Okay, so the book was in my mind. Conception took about, I would say, like 15 years into my practice. Obviously, I had that writing bug in me, obviously. So I think by 2000, I was pretty resentful of everything. I wanted to do something creative. The stories were in my mind, all of them. And so much was happening. Dramatic things were happening there in the clinic. And I knew these stories should be coming out. Because whenever I came, like, I'm from South Delhi, every day I had to change myself and go into a rural background. And I was a different person because I had to even change my clothes, Like, I'll read out a para from here. Like, I am an urban South Delhi girl, but over there I started wearing thick cotton saris and long blouses because I didn't want anybody's gaze to go anywhere beyond my face, That was my defense mechanism because they were all, and I was 25 when I started, and these people are coming and touching my feet. Ab to humari mata hai. They are like old people, grandfathers and everybody. And I couldn't take all that, So I said, I need to look like a mata then. I mean, I need to be their mother if they're treating me like their mother. So I piled up my hair. I made a bun to look 10 years older, which I looked after that. And I draped thick cotton saris I went and bought. I changed my personality completely to fit in with them, which was okay because everybody was touching my head, blessing me or my feet or whatever, So that was it. So now coming back to Reluctant Doctor, too much was happening there. And the stories were in my mind. I didn't need to do any research. That way I'm lucky, no?
Yeah.
Then COVID happened. All the resentment is going on. I want to write, but there was no time because practice was very, very busy actually, you know. Then COVID happened and my son is in the US and he told me, he called up, he's saying, you're not going to the clinic. If you go to the clinic, he knows I never miss a day. So he says, if you go to the clinic, I will go sit without my mask in some restaurant. Pick your pick. So, and he says, the book you've been cribbing about all your life, you write it now, otherwise you won't be able to write it. So that was it. And he ordered a desk for me, a writing desk, which came by mail to my room. And then I didn't need anything. I stayed at home for 1 year. 6 months I took to write my book, 6 months for editing, 6 months to find a publisher. By early 22, it was published. That was it. And it was very fast because the stories were in my mind. I think one day I wrote down all chapters I want to write, what headings, what topics they need to be in the book. I wrote all that. Only editing I gave it to an editor, that took about 6 months, yeah.
And how was it received by your near and dear ones, your doctor colleagues? And the general
everyone liked it very much, especially the literary critics. You know, the bloggers, the professional book reviewers. I was so surprised. I didn't expect anything at all. I just had to get these stories out. I felt the world needs to read them. But the reviews, they were overwhelming. I mean, I didn't expect that kind of a reaction. I thought medical stories hai kaun padhega. But these people, gosh, people said you made history and you don't even know it. You know, it was like that.
Okay.
Reviews were amazing. Yeah.
That's very interesting and very encouraging.
Very encouraging. Yeah.
And you also received an award from Stanford University. You also featured in BBC. So can you talk about that?
That's a second changing moment for me. First was when I became this was an uplifting change now, you know.
Okay.
So I was doing a online course in psychology because my dream was always to go abroad. So this was from Wellesley University. They had a social psychology. So my thing was to take a lecture and they had live lectures. For me, it was a dream come true. I was taking that. Then he put a challenge for the whole class. You have to spend 24 hours as compassionate in a most compassionate way. And the award was that you will be all funded trip to Stanford University. So I never gave it much thought, you know. Like then my daughter was sitting with me when I was doing my lectures. She says, why don't you write this essay? I said, don't be crazy. I mean, I have this teeny weeny clinic, one single doctor in India, small country like India, and the whole world will be applying. Where do I stand? I don't stand a chance. People do such fantastic things, you know. What am I doing? Nothing. She said, no, what's the harm in trying? And you always wanted to go to Stanford. Why don't you apply? So, theek hai. Then what I did was, I was lucky in that I have a big government school next to my clinic. So I went there, I talked to the principal that I need to talk to your classes from 7th onwards to 12th standard. Just give me all your students. I want to talk to them. And because, you know, by that time, I was aware that a lot of sexual harassment was happening, abuse was happening with little girls in people they knew, in the families. And I was very disturbed by it. But I couldn't do anything because the villagers, you know how they are. The moment you mention, and I was getting girls as little as 3, 4, and I knew it was sexual abuse, but I couldn't do anything. They just said, "Dawai do," and we are going. They wouldn't listen to me when I said, you know. So I called these girls. There were about more than 2,000 girls, okay, from 7th to 12th standard. I called all of them and I said, all the teachers have to be out, close the windows, otherwise the girls will not open up to me. Everything was out. It was a small room. They crouched against each other. And I told them the definition of sexual abuse. What is considered the touch, the wrong touch, the right touch. You wouldn't believe when I said, how many of you have come across it? 90% hands went up.
That's
90%,
sad.
you know. And then the girl said, we want to tell you. And they surrounded me and they went on telling their stories to me. Then I told them, I said, you come to my clinic free of charge. Come and talk to me. I'm right next to you. Tell me. I'll try to help you as much as I can, you know. And everybody is open to everyone, my clinic. But these girls, so I wrote this essay on this.
Okay.
It was, 3 or 4 pages essay, that's all. I sent it. And then after 1 month went by, 2 months went by, 3 months, I didn't expect anything. Then I get an email from this professor who was taking the online class. And he said, your essay is heads and above every essay in the world. I thought it was a scam because wo chalta hi tha, fake news, and I didn't believe it. Even my kids said, no, it couldn't be right. So, and then he asked me a few other questions. He wanted pictures. Wo pictures I took some pictures and I gave it. Then he says, okay, now you can come to Stanford, everything paid for. And my kids said, no, it can't be right. Nobody pays like that. So I said, theek hai, holiday ho jayegi. Then luckily my husband said, yeah, let's go. He said, it will be a holiday even if they don't pay, is fine. Even if it's not Stanford, we'll go to San Francisco. What's the big deal? So we went, and there it was, I can't tell you, it was so overwhelming, like I got goosebumps. Senior professors of Stanford are coming to me. They have a Center for Compassion over there, in Stanford. So those professors, they came to me and they said, we had tears in our eyes when we read your essay. And then I had a private meeting with the Dalai Lama in a small room, in a side room. He was there. I gave him my painting. And that was, it was amazing. The way they took me around, the way they didn't let me pay for any dinner, any lunch. It was amazing.
Thanks for sharing all of this with our viewers. You are, I think, really a blessed one.
It's just, I think, destiny or serendipity. I think it just happened.
So, Sanjay, how much time do we have?
It's 8:03. 8:03 now.
It's about 8:03 now. So we have till another couple of minutes, I would say.
Okay. So let me quickly ask you one question. Is that now what are your future plans? In next 12 months and 24 months, what should we expect from you?
12 months, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Okay. So this year, I plan to take out 3 books. One poetry collection is called A False Sky. A False Sky. So that I have already submitted to my publisher. That should come out within the next month, I think. It's a collection of poetry. So, and I plan to take out 1 poetry collection every year. So that will, my passion for poetry will be solved with this. Then one non-fiction I've already submitted is called The Betrayal. So this is about, it's more like crime and punishment. This person has committed a crime, but he's punished by his own conscience. So he's going through a lot of stress and a lot of remorse because of his crime. So this is the one which I've already submitted to the. And right now I'm writing one is called Once Upon a Bride. So this is a non-fiction. This is about bride burning and patriarchy. This is something I've actually seen, a burnt bride brought to my clinic, lying on my stretcher. So I thought, let me write it. Yeah.
So there is a lot that is happening, and there is a lot that we should expect from you. And very sensitive and socially relevant topics is what you are taking up. So thank you so much for coming on our show and sharing your thoughts and your journey with our viewers. Now let me hand over the proceedings to Sanjay to take it forward.
Thank you, Vardhan. Thank you for your very easy questions.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was really a very wonderful conversation, Balesh, and we have been, ever since I read your book almost about a couple of years back, I had been thinking, when you would like to come on our episode, and it was really a great evening. Thank you,
Thank you.
Vardhan.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Vardhan, for
Thank
being
you.
such a wonderful moderator, like always. And
Yeah, he's very low. He's very quiet and he does his job very well.
oh yeah, yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
So
No
that
pressure.
yeah. So thank you, viewers. Thank you for joining us. I'll be sharing the recording of this episode on my YouTube channel and then share the link on the various social media handles, uh, tagging wherever Balesh and Vardhan wherever they are on that social media. So those who have not been able to join today, they should be able to view the complete episode. And once again, thank you all very much for joining us today. The next episode is going to be on the 2nd of March at 5 p.m. Closer to the date, we will be releasing the creative and the other details about the episode. The next episode also has an author, Meenakshi Nath Sharma. She'll be joining us. I hope you will continue to support us. Once again, thank you all very much. Thank you, Vardhan, and thank you, Balesh. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Sanjay. Thank you, Vardhan. Thank you.
Thank you.